Good evening, everyone. Now I hope you can hear me. Welcome to Marcos Denisa. It's so good to see all of you here tonight. My name is Dr. Mary Keller. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, and we have some candidates, a couple candidates tonight from our interviews this morning that we would like you to listen to. Your questions we've written down, so thank you for your questions, but the intent of tonight is for you to ask your questions and get to hear what they have to say about some of the things that concern you, that you want to know. And this is their opportunity to come here and share their thoughts with you. They're going to be up here on stage, which is a little awkward for all of us because you're out there and we're way up here. But this is what we need to do because we are actually streamlining this into YouTube so folks who couldn't be here tonight can actually participate as well. But thank you all for coming here and being here in person. The way this will work tonight, we have two candidates, Steve Threadgill and Joe Dominguez, and I'll introduce each one of them as they come in. They'll come in, we'll ask questions. It'll take about 20 minutes or so for them to answer your questions, and then that candidate will leave and the next one will come in. So they'll be in here individually. Then at the end of the second candidate's time with you, we will bring them both back, and this will be a time where you can come up personally one-on-one and have conversation and get to know them a little bit better. And they'll be out down in here, and you can come up and ask questions personally and just get some one-on-one time with them. So does that sound like a good plan for this evening? There you can clap. Audience participation is always good. So our first candidate is going to be Steve Threadgill. Steve, I believe, is, I hope, over this way, because that's where I am told he is. So let's make sure Miguel has brought him down. If you don't know Mr. Threadgill, he is actually the Assistant Principal for Academics over at Corona del Sol right now. So if the name is familiar and you're not sure why, that is where he is. Mr. Dominguez actually is a principal in San Francisco, but he once was an Assistant Principal for Academics and also an Assistant Principal for Activities at Mountain Point High School a few years back. So tonight we have folks who have ties to our district, and we're glad that they're both going to be here tonight. And Miguel, who is our assistant over here at Marcos, is bringing Mr. Threadgill in. And he keeps telling me he's ready when I am. And I'm going to tell him, we are ready. Maybe we ought to clap really loud so that he knows we're ready. If you feel so inclined, please do so. And here is Mr. Steve Threadgill. Come on in, Steve. There you go. I'm going to ask you questions, but you get to talk to them. You don't need to look at me unless you need to tell me to clarify the question, okay?
You got it, Mary. Absolutely.
All righty. So we're going to go ahead and get started. As an arts-focused high school with a fine arts academy, how will you support the growth and continued development of our performing and visual arts programs, and what direct experiences do you have in the arts?
Great question. Well, first off, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. My name is Steve Threadgill. I know you're taking time away from your families and your personal lives to be here, so thank you for that. Regarding the question in the Fine Arts Academy, I know that Marcos Denisa has a rich tradition in the fine arts, and to the point where the Fine Arts Academy has been established in recent years. As principal, I want to continue to foster that Fine Arts Academy. I know that becomes difficult at times on a campus that's smaller in student enrollment, just in terms of the sections that are allotted each and every year. But all that takes is just a collaborative work together with the teachers, with the students, with the community, to make sure that we are offering the courses that our students want to take in those areas, and making sure that we're having a direct focus on expanding those courses that maybe haven't made in previous years or made and then got cut in previous years. So it's really just working together, making sure we know what our students want to take, and then getting creative. We can find ways to be creative, whether that's putting sections together, finding different hours in the day to make sure that students have it available in their school day to be in the classes that they want to take. My personal experience with the arts, I've worked on high school campuses now for 17 years in a wide range of different fine arts programs. Currently, I'm at Corona del Sol High School, serving in the academics role, and we have a very active fine arts program, so I've really been able to see the impact that the fine arts program can have on a campus, especially a comprehensive school. We want our students to be able to have those opportunities and continue their success.
Thank you, Steve. What is your plan for supporting students who are severely credit deficient?
Well, that's a great question. I know coming out of the pandemic, a lot of students were impacted academically, having to go through a school year and a little bit more than one school year, having to be online or in a hybrid setting, really had an impact on our students at all grade levels. But especially those students that are new to the high school experience at the freshman and sophomore realm. What we're seeing right now is those students really, they're kind of still junior high students in a lot of ways, just because they didn't get to have that true high school experience. And so what that has created, as we know, is some credit deficiencies across the board. And so, number one, it's important that we identify those credit deficiencies and we work with each individual student to set a plan moving forward, whether that's credit recovery sections in an 8th-hour setting, if that's summer school, and continue to work with our district office. Do we need to look at things like evening school, night school, Saturday schools? I believe we just need to be open to opportunities. We need to create those opportunities for our students and give them a chance to make up those credits that they are deficient in. And a lot of that comes back also to just taking time to go back and reteaching, right? We don't want to lower the standards for our students, but we also want to understand that they were greatly impacted over this past year and a half, 2 years. And so if we need to step back, reteach some things, take some time to help get them caught up, then we need to do that. I know there's some different opportunities through Summer Bridge and different things just to make sure those students that continue to come up through us every year are prepared for each and every year that they're going to go through high school and meet those graduation requirements.
Okay, this is a long one, so I'll go slowly. And if you have questions,
Copy.
let me know. Okay.
Yep.
How would you create the infrastructure and culture needed to build a trauma-informed, sensitive school environment for all staff and students, particularly in a context of the district's initiative on mental health and social-emotional wellness?
Can you give it to me one more time, Dr.
I
Keller?
can.
I'm sorry.
I certainly can. How would you create the infrastructure and culture needed to build a trauma-informed, sensitive school environment for all staff, students, and particularly in the context of the district's initiative on mental health and social-emotional wellness?
Absolutely. So I know that Marcos Denisa already has a rich tradition of that culture of kindness. And so I think a lot of that infrastructure needs to be built upon that we are all here, we are full of grace, we are full of kindness, we are here to support one another. Within that, we have a lot of resources already built into our campus, whether that's through our school counselors, social workers, school psychologists, Care 7, administrators, teachers, across the whole board. I think every employee on our campus can play an active role in helping foster that infrastructure that was asked. And it comes down to taking time and having an understanding for what our students have been through the past couple years. And really taking time to have those conversations and find out what is it that you're struggling with right now? What are some of the traumas that you've been through? I was just talking with a colleague, and we've seen a lot of loss this year. A lot of our students, a lot of our faculty, myself, we've lost family members, we've lost parents, we've lost friends to this pandemic. And so it's important that we take the time to recognize that, not just pretend like it never happened, because it happened. It's a real thing. And so we need to take that time to understand, to set opportunities, whether it be through small groups, individual one-on-one sessions with the school counselor, teachers having that understanding as students are coming into their room, that students are going through a lot on a daily basis right now. And there's a lot of recovery that needs to take place from that. And so it really comes down to just coming back to that human element, right? We're all human, and we've all been through a lot. And I think when we recognize that and we take a step back, we can really find that opportunity to pull together and really unite that we all went through this together. We may have had a different experience through these last couple years, but we all were in it together. And so we need to keep that model going. As I went back to that culture of kindness, it's really just that expectation that we have respect built on our campus. We truly care about one another. We're not just showing up to get school done and saying your day's over, go on. It's truly, we want to know what's going on in your life. How can we help support? Here are the resources we can offer. And that needs to be something that is continual. That's an everyday process. That's not something that we just do at the beginning of the school year and then just hope everything works itself out. It's something we need to continually refer back to, check in with, and make sure that everybody's getting the support that they need as we continue on through the end of this pandemic and into new years.
Thank you, Steve. What is your relationship with the Tempe Police Department, and are you supportive of the SRO program?
Good question. I have a good working relationship with the Tempe Police Department. Currently at the school I'm at, we work with the Tempe Police Department. I know Joey Brudnock is he is the head of the school resource officers. And am I supportive of that? I am. And I stand firm in that because I come from a background before I came out to Tempe Union in the first 13 years of my career where school resource officers were not present on campuses. And actually to the point when I was at Independence High School, to take you guys back a little bit, I served as the assistant principal of discipline and attendance for 2 years. And so during those 2 years, everything that dealt with discipline fell on my role, discipline, attendance. And through that experience, not having a school resource officer on my campus, I had to reach out to the Glendale Police Department and establish that relationship because I knew that I needed their support. Not their support to come onto campus and arrest students. That's not what I'm talking about. But their support to come onto campus and help inform and educate our students on some decisions that maybe are being made and what consequences that could lead to in the future. So at the end of my time at Independence High School, I actually wrote a grant to help the school get a school resource officer in future years. If I was going to say my one regret is I never got to see the fruits of that labor. But then in coming out to Tempe Union and joining Corona del Sol 4 years ago, we had a school resource officer right away. And what I have been able to experience in that time is wonderful because the school resource officer is truly an extension of our faculty. They are not there just for disciplinary action, for law enforcement action. As I mentioned earlier, they are there to help educate our students. They are there to be a voice and to help hear our students who are going through hard times, be a resource to them. Truly what their name is they are a resource officer. So they are there to help us. They are not there to discipline. We keep that very clear in our works together. There's a difference between what law enforcement does and what school administration does. Yes, we can come together and collaborate and work together and help support our students, but we do not use them in the realm of they're just coming to arrest our students. It's truly an educational point. And so I would continue to foster that here on this campus and make sure that we are doing everything we can through that school resource officer to help facilitate that learning and that support to our students, because this is a big transition for them. This 4-year transition they go through high school springboards them into their lives, their adult lives. for vast majority of our students, when they graduate high school, they're turning 18, and in society's eyes, they're becoming an adult. And so it's important that they have that knowledge, and who better to give that knowledge to them than someone from the law enforcement, as far as what's going to be going on later in life and what could happen from decisions that are being made.
Okay, Steve, this is a student question.
Okay.
How are you going to keep the students safe?
Oh, safe and orderly campus. That is my number one goal in any position I've ever held in the educational system. Whether it be when I was teaching math in my first 7 years in education, my number one priority every day. Now as a teacher, it was more geared towards my classroom, but that is a front of my mind focus in everything that I do. I want to create a safe environment that our students can come into, that they can feel safe and feel comfortable, because when they have that sense of comfort and safety, that's when the true learning can happen. And so how can I create that? Number one, visibility. Being out on campus, making sure we know what's going on campus, being aware of the situations that are happening, being a face, taking the time to meet students, welcome students, saying good morning, being out at lunch times, being in the classrooms when they're learning, being that constant person who's all over campus. And that just doesn't come back to me as the principal. That's our administrative team. That's our teachers. That's all employees need to have that face out on our campus each and every day. Because if we're out there and we can see what's going on and we can hear from our students, that allows us to make the necessary adjustments to ensure that that safety's happening. And when things happen, we need to make sure that we recognize it and we respond accordingly, right? If things are not going well on our campus, if there are some behaviors that may, quote unquote, create a sense of not being safe, then we need to address that immediately. And we need to take the proper steps to make sure we get back to that sense of safety. And hearing that from a student, is that what I heard? That was a student asking that question? I'm so proud that a student asked that question, because I think that's important. We need to listen to our students. Our students are the ones that we are here to serve. They are our clientele each and every day. As parents in our community, we work in collaboration with you, but really our students, you are the most important thing walking on our campus every day. And so we have to make sure, it's not a need to make sure, we have to make sure that you are feeling safe every day you step on our campus.
Okay, Steve, how will you help promote and maintain the CTE programs we have on campus?
Excellent. Very similar to the fine arts question that we started with, helping to maintain those CTE programs. Number one is really finding out from the students, allowing the students to have a voice of what courses they want to take, right? And so in my current role as the assistant principal of academics at Corona del Sol High School, we go through a process, which I know is similar here at Marcos Denisa, where students select the courses they want to take for the upcoming school year. And so part of that process is our current programs, especially those elective programs like CTE, we need to allow them the opportunity to publicize and promote their programs. Give them a chance to reach out to the student body at large and let them know these are some programs that we can offer on our campus. And then in turn, our students are able to get that, marketing, if you will, and make informed decisions on which classes they want to take. From there, it's just working together as a team. It's working with department leaders, it's working with PLC leaders in the area of CTE. A lot of times it's program leaders because they have an entire program, and making sure that we are building those programs that our students want to have. And once we have those established, it's continuing to promote them, encourage students to take those classes, and then also see the benefits of it. In those CTE classes, you get the program completers, students are able to get certificates, they're able to do things at the high school level that can prepare them for a life afterwards. And so we want to help them with that. As a school, we are here to support them with that. And so it's important that we just all work together. We hear the voice of the students, we hear the voice of the teachers, and we come together to build those classes to meet their needs. Again, similar to the fine arts, though, there's times where that might be a sense of getting creative, because students, we want them to have that opportunity to complete a course. We want them to have that opportunity to get those certificates for those programs that they're going through. And so we may need to get creative with that. And I am open to that. That's something I've done for the past 8 years in an academic role, is knowing what our students want to take and making sure that we're being creative to give them those opportunities.
Okay. If you could describe an effective school principal in 3 words, what would they be?
Okay.
3 words.
Effective school principal, 3 words.
Effective school principal, if you could describe an effective school principal in only 3 words.
Okay,
what
3
would they
words. So number 1 is visible. The principal is the face of the school. And I don't say that with arrogance. I say that with a level of compassion and eagerness to lead those around you. So you have to be visible. You have to be visible to your staff. You have to be visible to your students. You have to be visible to your community. There should be no question when you walk on a campus who the principal is, because they're visible. You see their face, you hear from them, whether it be through videos or email communications or phone calls or out in the community, okay? At sporting events, at fine art events, at CTE celebrations, you are visible. Number 2, I would say you just have to be kind. Truly, myself as a person, kindness is key. There's not enough kindness in our world, in my opinion. That's one man's opinion, but we can all use a little bit more kindness. And as the principal, if you ask people, oh, I got sent to the principal's office, that's like a scary thing, right? But I think if you're able to establish yourself as a principal, as a kind principal, that doesn't mean a pushover or someone that's just going to let you get away with things. No, that's someone who's kind and can understand what you're going through and take the time to learn about you and have that kind spirit inside of them. And then number 3, you have to be an instructional leader. As the principal of the school, you are the leader of the school. As I mentioned, you're the face, you're kind in your actions, but you need to be leading your campus as an instructional leader. You need to make sure that you're giving your teachers every resource they need to be successful, every professional development that they need to be successful. And the students need to see you out in the classrooms and engaging in those lessons, engaging in those talks. Because as the students see myself do that as the principal, they know that that's the way. That's what we're modeling. We are here to be students first. Number 1, that's what we come here to do. We are here to be students. So it is important that as the leader of the school, I am fostering that educational leadership, and I'm developing other leaders on campus at the same time. But at the end of it all, it falls back on the principal, that you are establishing an environment where we have good instruction happening on a daily basis. I know instructional leader is 2 words, so hopefully I get credit for that. It's like we'll call it a compound word.
Like instructional _ leader.
That sounds
okay,
good.
we'll work it out in the tech world.
Absolutely.
Okay, what are your plans to ensure our students from Guadalupe are represented, included, and their unique, specific needs are met at Marcos?
Absolutely. The city of Guadalupe is an important part of our school community here. We are fortunate. Valerie Molina, who is the mayor of Guadalupe, works on our campus. And so we have a direct link to the city of Guadalupe. The city of Guadalupe makes up upwards of about a quarter of the campus as far as student enrollment. So it's important that we make sure we are keeping that relationship on a solid foundation. We need to make sure that as the principal, I am going out into that community. as I mentioned before, I am being a face in that community. Not only is it important for all of our community to be able to come to our campus and feel welcome when they're on our campus, it's just as important that we are going out and meeting our community where they are at. And so I would love the opportunity to get out into the city of Guadalupe, to make those connections, to meet people, to let them know who I am, what my educational philosophies are, and how important it is that we have a strong foundation when it comes to a relationship between community and school. It's just one of those things that goes across the whole gamut. Anytime we're on any campus, we want to have that community involvement. And the city of Guadalupe is a vital part of that, especially here at Marcos de Niza, which has a rich tradition working with the city of Guadalupe. Marcos de Niza has been around for over 50 years. This is not a school that just popped up overnight. It has been here. And so there is a rich tradition that we cannot lose sight of. And the city of Guadalupe is a vital part of that.
Steve, this is your final question.
Okay.
What is your vision for Marcos?
Oh, great question. My vision for Marcos de Niza High School is to continue to foster what I just talked about in that previous question. This campus is a campus deep-rooted in tradition and history. 50 years of a high school is amazing. In this day and age, that is something to be celebrated. My vision is to continue the works that have been done before me. I am not the type of person who's going to come in and say, I don't care what happened the last 50 years, we're going to do it my way. That is not the type of leader that I am. I am the type of leader that's going to come in and continue to learn and find out more and allow you to learn more about me. And as we go through that process, we are going to continue to refine all the wonderful things that have been done historically on this campus. And so my vision is to bring that back to life. Not to say that it's been gone, because I have a lot to learn about Marcos de Niza. I recognize that. But my vision in that is to get back to a fine arts academy that is sending students to Broadway. CTE programs that are giving students an opportunity to have those certificates when they graduate high school and go on in the next venture of their life. Continue to build on an AP program and an honors program and a dual enrollment program that's going to open doors for students at the college level, getting them those college credits, giving them an opportunity to be ahead when they leave our campus and enter into the college setting. Continue to foster a very strong athletic program, an athletic program that is rich in state championships, is rich in students that have gone on to play at the next level, even all the way to the point of at the professional level. So really, my vision is to take what's been done before me, learn about it, and continue to grow it to that next level. And that next level is every aspect. We're a comprehensive high school. We offer everything a student can need on this campus. And so we want to continue to offer that. And if we're not offering it, we need to find ways to offer it, because that's what our students need. They need that opportunity. And the last part about my vision, and this is my vision in general, Marcos de Niza right now, I want to be the next principal at Marcos de Niza. But my educational leadership vision is to create quality citizens for our future. End of story. We are in the business of building up young adults. As I mentioned before, 4 years and you springboard out into your adult life. It would be an utter failure if we did not give our students every opportunity and resource to be successful once they walk out our doors and walk across our stage and get a diploma. So it is important that we are just building good people for the future. We need that right now. We need good people, and especially at that young level, okay? Those young 14 to 18-year-olds are going to be the ones leading us into the future. And so my vision has always been for high schools that I've worked on. We want to create quality citizens as we move into the next generation of life.
And that's your last question and answer. We've been spending a lot of time together since early this morning, so thanks for coming this evening, and thanks for being here to answer questions for all these folks.
Thank you guys very much for being here. I appreciate it.
And like I said, after the next candidate, we'll bring them both back, and you can spend more time with each one of them, at least up to 8 o'clock, because after that, we want to make sure all the Marcos folks who are here can actually get home, because they've had a long day as well. So we'll bring back, and I'm going to grab some iced tea, because my voice is going. Joe Dominguez, are you back there? Would you like to come out? There you go. Here's Joe Dominguez. How this will work is I have the questions, you have the answers. So I'm going to ask the questions, then go off, and you can talk to all these fine folks, okay? All righty.
Hi, folks. Good evening.
All righty. So, Joe, as an arts-focused high school with a fine arts academy, how will you support the growth and continual development of our performing and visual arts programs? And what direct experiences do you have in the arts?
I love this question. Thank you, Mary. Dr. Keller, I mean. Hi, folks. I'm Joe Ryan Dominguez. I'm currently the principal at Lowell High School in San Francisco. And before that, I was an assistant principal here at Mountain Point and a teacher for Mesa Public Schools as well. And it's funny that the first question's about the arts because I was looking at the Charlie Brown, the Snoopy doghouse backstage. And I was asking Miguel if you did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown this year, and he said it was. And I love that because my favorite monologue ever, my go-to monologue, is the lunchtime scene with Charlie Brown and talk about how lonely he is and peanut butter sandwiches and so on. Anyway, I've had that in my back pocket since high school. So in high school, I was a big drama nerd. I was best actor at my high school, and I was also a band geek as well. And I say the word nerd and geek with all the pride ever because that was my attachment to school. That's what brought me to the campus every single day, was the camaraderie and the time that I had with my friends. I didn't know what an AP class was until my band friends told me about it my freshman year. I didn't know that I could excel in other classes until they told me about it. And that would have never happened if I weren't from a school that valued the arts. And so ever since that day, I've only ever valued and advocated for arts programs because that's what every single school needs. Kids are going to learn math and they're going to learn English and they're going to have a great time with that, but they're not going to excel unless they know how to apply it. And because I was involved in those programs, I will always be a fierce advocate for arts programs. But it requires a lot of work. It requires advocacy and it requires a plan to make sure that students in elementary school and middle school see themselves at your school here at Marcos and see themselves not just as a band kid, but they see themselves as a Padre marching band kid, or they see themselves at the Marcos Denisa drama program. They have to see themselves here. Now, at my current school, we're experiencing a large budget deficit, which is happening across a lot of districts. We were at risk of losing a few of our arts teachers, particularly a brand new band teacher. And I'm talking about a band teacher. She's fresh out of college. She has done amazing things for our program, and we were likely going to lose her. But I have had multiple conversations with my community, and we have decided that as a community, it is our priority to save her. Not because the numbers warrant a position yet, but we know down the road it will. And because we believe in her, we know that she's going to bring good programs to our campus, we're going to maintain that because you have to value the arts programs at your school. Sorry, that was long-winded, but I love the arts. Go ahead.
That's okay. What is your plan for supporting students who are severely credit deficient?
I'm sorry, I'm struggling with deficient, and let me tell you why. We just came back from an incredible thing, this pandemic, right? We just came back from 2 years of what the heck was that? We've all just experienced a ton of loss, a ton of trauma, and now we're coming back with almost equal amounts of learning loss. So for me personally, it's not appropriate to say that our kids are deficient right now, because the whole world is behind, and we owe it to them to give them the time and the grace to make sure that they can achieve at the levels that they deserve. And so first is we need to figure out where our kids are, where they're coming to us at. So we know that our freshmen, for example, are coming into us behaving like 7th graders because they never experienced high school. Same for our 10th graders. So we need to be patient with them and not assume that they're coming to us the way that they used to 2 years ago, and that's okay. But we have to have a plan. So we need to have ways to identify students early. We need to make sure that we are speaking with the middle schools that they're coming from and asking them, what are your students' strengths? Ask their families, same question, because there's a lot more to tell about a student than what's on their middle school transcript or what grades that they received. We need to know exactly who they are as a kiddo and figure out exactly what intervention services we need to place in our schools. And then we need to push them along. Expect high levels of rigor for them because they're going to make it. And I am here on stage today because I had folks believe in me. I could have easily gone in either direction. Before I joined band, before I joined student council, before I was in drama, I could have easily have gone the other way. But because I had fierce teachers that believed in me and expected high levels of rigor for me, I was able to achieve. And so I want the same thing for each and every student that walks onto this campus, and that's what I would focus on.
This is a long one, so we'll work through it, okay? How would you create the infrastructure and culture needed to build a trauma-informed, sensitive school environment for all staff and students, particularly in the context of the district's initiative on mental health and social-emotional wellness?
Thank you. So, back to the trauma I was just talking about. We all just came back from something, and that's not unique to our students. That's also true of the staff as well. We all came back from this scenario that none of us had been through ever before. So again, giving each other the time and the grace to really be there for each other and making sure that we all understand the goal. That's the goal, right? We have to figure out what our measures of success are together. That's not just going to come from me. That needs to come from us. We decide as a community, what are our priorities for this year? What are our priorities for the next 3, 5, or 10 years? And let's move together with those goals. Because if we have full student buy-in, if their teachers know what the plan is, then they're going to drive that. So social emotional wellness. So lived in San Francisco. I'm not from San Francisco. I'm from here. I'm a true Valley kid. I only know Phoenix. But San Francisco, what I've learned over the last 3 years, they have a lot of feelings. And that's great. I love it. But it's important because they really do value the importance of social emotional wellness. And so that's a huge lesson that I've learned. Coming from here, going over there and realizing, okay, we can probably find a balance here a bit. Meet kids where they are, really move them up, but also be there for them to really articulate and have a conversation about where they're feeling. Because if students know that you are there for them and that you are valuing them and their true authentic selves, then they're gonna show up for you in the classroom. They're gonna perform at the levels that you want them to. And I don't need to sell teachers on that, they know that, but we do need to build in our day permission structures so that faculty know it's okay to still hold the bar high, but make sure we're building in the levels of accomplishment for each and every student by honoring where they are. So that takes valuing social emotional wellness and really working with our counselors, our social workers, and asking them, how are the kids talking to you? What is going on? What are you experiencing? And being open and transparent with our faculty. This is what our students are going through at the moment, and then asking them, how should we respond?
Thank you. What is your relationship with the Tempe Police Department, and are you supportive of the SRO program?
Oh, sure. I am. And again, coming from San Francisco, we have zero relationship with the SFPD, and that has shown some real deficiencies in how we can keep our campus safe. I think that there has to be a real clear and open conversation with what the role is of an SRO officer on campus. But the fact is, when you have police on campus, they have the potential of building the relationships that are so essential. Your community needs to have a powerful relationship with your police officers, because that's the only way that you can bridge it together, is making sure that that trust is built between them from a young age at the student level and then with the police department directly on. When you separate them, you risk devaluing the trust that should exist there.
This is a student question. How are you going to keep the students safe?
I love that question too. My love and my passion is for teaching and learning, but you can't do that if the kids don't feel safe and if they are not safe. And that's the truth for the faculty as well. What I've always valued about Tempe Union is that it focuses so much emphasis on the safety of our students and making sure that they have the layers built in to make sure students feel safe to report anything that they're seeing, and making sure the community understands what our priorities are around that. It's not the same everywhere else, I promise you that right now. So for me, safety is guaranteed by open and transparent communication. Families need to know what's going on their campus, and they shouldn't have to wait until they hear it from the mouths of their students. They should hear it from their principal. They should hear it from their district, and they should hear it from their students as well, but it shouldn't be from one voice. Everybody should be clear on what our direction is as a campus, because that's my job as a principal, is to be a communicator. So you'll hear from me frequently. So that's one way I keep it safe, is making sure that there's open, transparent lines of communication. Obviously, there's personnel or FERPA issues that I can't violate, but everything I can let you know, I will always let you know. And then making sure that in this age of digital citizenship, or maybe a lack thereof digital citizenship, making sure that students and faculty understand appropriate use of social media, making sure they understand the difference between a joke and a threat, and making sure that they understand very clear lines of that. Now, that's from a holistic view, making sure that you're teaching students what's right from wrong in terms of social media use, but then also clear lines of accountability. Making it very clear at the beginning of the year, as a community, this is what we stand for, the behaviors that we were okay with, behaviors that we're not, and making it super clear to them what we will and will not stand for. And so when they cross those lines, we hold them accountable, because it's super important that students and staff know that we have expectations as a campus. But even before then, we also have some proactive means of education as well. So there's got to be day-to-day accountability, but there has to be a long-term plan as well to make sure that we can change any sort of a culture of violence or unsafety that might happen in the community.
Thank you. How will you help promote and maintain the CTE programs we have on campus?
Love that question too. I love all these questions. Again, I'm also an education nerd, so anytime I can talk about teaching and learning, I like to nerd out. The single thing that I've missed the most about the comprehensive schools here is CTE, because in San Francisco, we hang our hats on AP and AP only. Well, that's great, but we're not creating well-rounded students. So in the same vein that you create well-rounded and buy-in from students when they are attached to the arts aren't for everyone. We want to make sure that there's a little bit of everything for every single student that walks onto your campus. And when you have a robust CTE program, that's also a window to hook students into making sure that they have ways that they can see what they're going to be outside of the school. Because after 4 years, they're destined for whatever they want. So they're either going to be an artist, a mathematician, or they're going to work in the industry right away, but they have options. And when you have a fully supported CTE program, that's what that provides. And I'm excited to be back at a campus with the full CTE.
Okay, this is a tough one.
Okay.
If you could describe an effective school principal in only 3 words, what would they be? And only 3 words.
Transparent. I'm trying to decide if communicative is part of transparent. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Communicative, transparent, accessible.
I think we let Steve expand on his a little bit, so we can let you expand on what those 3
Sure.
words mean to you.
You meet people, you tell them, I'm a principal. They're like, cool, what does that mean? They don't fully know what a principal does. And that's okay. You know, you want them to do the hard work so teachers can focus on the teaching and learning in the classroom, right? You don't want to worry about all the stuff that's happening outside of the room. You want to trust that your kids are safe when you send them that way. You want to make sure that the distractions are out of the way for the teachers. But you also want to know that they're doing something besides twiddling their thumbs, right? So if you watch Abbott Elementary, you don't want your principal to be that. You want to know that your principals are busy. So I'm transparent, right? Making sure that you know that we're focused on the goal that we've decided together, and that I'm being very clear about our decision structures. That it's not just some boss at the top making decisions from the top down, but that we're doing this together. So that's why transparent. Communicative, because again, when you send your kid to high school, you trust that they're safe. You trust that they're getting a good education. You trust that they're being valued for who they are. And if you don't have that trust, you at least deserve to know what's going on the inside. You're owed that, right? It takes a lot to give your babies away every single day. And I know that they're not babies, but, when they're yours, they're your babies. And so you need someone that's communicating to you that's about what's happening. There's a lot of communication that happens at the elementary school level, and then you wonder why it dies off by middle and high school. So you deserve communication. What was my third one? Oh, I said communicative. I said transparent. And then I said accessible. Yeah, you have to be able to know that you can share ideas, share your frustrations, share what you're happy about to the person that is leading your community. And if you can't ever access that person, then you start to lose that trust again, or you start feeling devalued as an educator, or as a student, or as anyone that operates with the campus. You need to know that we're all in, and you should see your principal from time to time, right? Because they're the leader of learning. You need to trust them that way as well. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay, Joe, what are your plans to ensure our students from Guadalupe are represented, included, and their unique, specific needs are met at Marcos?
This goes back to making sure that we value and we really see students for the whole person that they are. Because if you don't value or even understand where they're coming from, whether they're of a certain race, or if they're disabled or LGBTQIA, whatever, whoever the kid is, they need to be seen. Because if they don't feel seen, they're not going to see you. They're not going to understand why the lessons you're teaching them is important. All they're going to care about is, I need to get back to my comfort zone where I know. And Guadalupe is a strong community, and they need to be valued as that as well. And so the way that I know how to build partnerships with communities is by having conversations and true partnerships with community-based organizations. Making sure that you have a connection to the folks that really have a vested interest in their kids, because just like it's hard for you to send your students to a school every single day and trust, well, entire communities like Guadalupe have that same fear. They want to make sure that their kids are valued and helped from an early age as well. And so that, bridging partnerships, having open lines of communication with the community, and making sure that they're brought in to really have a stake in our vision, really have a stake in our goals. Again, I talked to you that we decide as a community where we want to move the campus, but that also includes bringing in community partners as well to help us with that.
And Joe, this is your final question. What is your vision for Marcos?
I know that this has been a tough year for education. A phrase that I've been using a lot is we used this last year when we were all learning from home. We're trying to build the plane while we're flying it. And then this year when we're back in campus, we're going to try to land the plane, settle things down a bit, remember who we are as a community, right? So the question is, what's my vision for Marcos? That's not a fair question to ask me, because I haven't gotten to know you yet. You are the vision for this campus. You are the folks that are here. What I know about an admin at schools is there's a lot of turnover. Now, I don't intend to turn over, but what I know is that the commitment and the dedication of a school are with the people that remain there. So your faculty, your staff. So the vision comes from, one, me getting to know you all a lot better, because I did my research. I read all about you online. I knew Marcos Denisa before I left, but I don't know you, because what we know is that nobody really knows the school until they're inside. So let me in the inside. I will work with you, and we will determine on a vision together. day-to-day, 5-year, 10-year. We determine what our community is all about. And I'm just here as your shepherd to help you push that forward. I will be a fierce advocate for everything that you want, everything that you deserve, and the things that I have seen on your websites, on your videos. I'm going to help make sure that the entire city knows this is what Marcos Denisa has to offer. I'm going to let people know this is the type of student that Marcos Denisa produces, and this is where we're going. It's that communication and that transparency. That I'm good at, but we together make the decisions on what that looks like.
Thank you, Joe Dominguez. It was a pleasure to have you, and thank you for your questions for tonight's candidates. We now are going to bring Steve Threadgill out. You can clap for all of them. I'm going to steal your microphone. I'll take your mic. Yeah. And on behalf of Tempe Union High School District, I want to thank all of you for coming out. I want to thank you for your questions. Now is the time where the candidates will mill about down there, and you can come up, ask them one-on-one questions, have some conversation. Like I said, we'll do that till about 8 o'clock. But again, thank you so much for your interest in helping us find the next principal of Marcos Denisa High School. Thank you, everybody.